I, 26 male, have an older brother, Marty, 34 male, an intensivist at the hospital. He's always been the model child amongst our cousins, and he was the kid that everyone compared their kid in our neighborhood. Why can't you be more like Marty? It's still a phrase I get once a month at a family event. The problem is, he's really useless in real life, and it's mostly our parents' fault. I never remember him doing any chores or running any errands for a thing. My parents always excused him because he was studying for something, which was true. He was in medical school, and then it was residency, then it was fellowship, etc. But he never had any relationships, and my parents had to give up on him finding a partner. He still lives with our parents, and if he isn't eating or sleeping, he's mostly studying or at the hospital or a medical-related event. He also calls me for even the slightest thing, such as how to use a shoehorn. He really asked me this 4 years ago, or how do we send money via PayPal? I remember saying, "What the heck?" to myself at that moment. My parents still manage his bank account and investments, and they surrender to their fate. I'll mostly be the one to continue doing it because I love him, and he would be clueless in life if someone didn't help him. I'm his kind of opposite. I wasn't academically a failure, but I didn't like school and academics. So after graduating high school, I entered the carpeting business. I don't have a high-end lifestyle or a prestigious job, but I'm financially doing just fine. My parents supported my career choice, but my extended family still sees me as an embarrassment for not attending university. I know my parents also deep down wanted me to be a doctor, lawyer, or engineer, but they knew it wasn't for me. Last week, we had an extended family reunion, and Marty wasn't there because he had a night shift that he couldn't change with someone. I got a little bit too tipsy, and after the classic comparison of why I wasn't like my brother, I laughed and said I'd prefer to be a guy who doesn't call his little brother to ask for a ride because he couldn't figure out how to use Uber. My aunt was shocked, and I basically told some snippets about my brother's incompetencies. My parents weren't in the room at that moment, so they never knew the whole thing until my brother called my parents and ranted about me. It turns out one of our cousins called my brother and humiliated him with everything I said and really left a mark on him. My parents think I'm an idiot for giving the ammo, but I think my brother needed a wake-up call. Am I the idiot for telling my brother is useless if he's not in a hospital? Some info. My brother's unaware of him being a prodigy in the family because he may have attended family events twice in the last 10 years. He's mostly at work or a work-related event. I never saw him miss a medical congress in our country when it was about his specialty. You are the idiot. Based on what you wrote, you didn't once say anything about Marty belittling you or treating you poorly about your life choices. You talk about being compared to him by other people, but then in a tipsy state, you put him down to these people. Do you think this makes you a good person? So career-wise, school-wise, your brother's really accomplished, but in real life, hands-on things, not so. And you're the reverse. Who's to say which life is the right one? Or who's the better person? Your brother didn't betray you to family, but you did so to him. And I don't see what he ever did to deserve that. Next time, grow up here and tell the idiots that are comparing you to him that they're idiots without attacking someone who didn't do anything. I'm sorry, but Marty's a 34-year-old man that can't manage his own finances, doesn't know how to use a shoehorn, and can't even work Uber? How long does he get a pass for being this incompetent? Everyone's the idiot. I can see why being compared to your sibling as a way to put you down for your entire life would make you feel frustrated and resentful. As awful as that is, it doesn't excuse you from airing out all his flaws, things that most people would be embarrassed about, to family members. My sister's in her fellowship to become an intensivist. She lives on her own, cooks for herself, and knows how to manage what's going on in her life. Sure, she'll ask me for favors sometimes when she's super busy, but nothing like what's going on in this post. And the intensivists in the hospital I'm doing my residency in are all married with kids. Like, this is just sad that there's a doctor so functionally incapable of doing stuff on his own. If OP doesn't want to help his brother, he doesn't have to. What he also definitely doesn't have to do is insult him behind his back when he could have just said, "I'm just as happy with my life and career as my brother is, and this is the last time we'll discuss it. The next time you bring it up, I'm walking away." I recently went on a long-haul trip with 2 other friends, Jessica and Stanley. In our regular day-to-day hangouts, I've always been the planner, i.e. picking the place, making reservations, splitting bills, etc. I usually don't mind because my friends are better in other areas of friendship, so I never felt like it was unequal. Jessica and Stanley invited me on a long-haul road trip, about 20 hours of driving, to see Stanley's family, and I thought it would be fun. Before agreeing, though, I did tell them very straightforwardly that I did not want to plan the trip. I'm okay with planning where to get cocktails on a Saturday night, but I didn't want to be responsible for 2 other adults on a 20-hour road trip. On day 1, they immediately asked me what was for lunch. I told them I had no idea because we didn't plan anything. They seemed shocked but didn't say anything, and we ended up stopping at a random rest stop by chance, so it worked out. During lunch, though, they asked where we were going for dinner. Once again, I said I had no idea. Jessica laughed and said, "No, where are we eating?" I once again reaffirmed that I had no idea. We started driving, and I feel like they purposefully planned my leg during dinner time, but I decided to be stubborn, and I just kept driving and driving until Stanley complained about being hungry. I said, cool, he could look up somewhere to eat, and that's when we all started arguing. They said it wasn't fair for me to spring the responsibility of planning meals on them when the trip started. I told them I was pretty straightforward before we left, and that they were sitting in the car for 5 hours doing nothing, so why couldn't they look stuff up on their phones? Now they say I was being an idiot for not saying anything and just driving through dinner time, causing them to starve to death so I could prove a point. Of course, I told them that we still ended up getting fast food, so they were being a bit dramatic. The fights were pretty bad, though, to the point where I was about to rent a separate car to drive home, so I wanted to check if I was an idiot before I made it worse. Not the idiot. Oh my God. Did you give birth to Jessica and Stanley? Are you their mom? Don't they know how to look up places to eat on their phone without you holding their hands? What will they do now that you're going to go your separate way? There's no way 2 fully grown adults will be able to find anywhere that serves food without your help. And we all know humans can only survive max 6 hours without eating. Exactly. You set a boundary, and they chose to push it. From the outside, it seems really weird for them to invite you on a road trip and then expect you to have planned any of it. There are nicer ways to flip it back on them to be responsible, but that also shouldn't be your responsibility. OP was invited as a nanny. Geez, they very obviously only invited OP because they know she's really good at planning and researching for these sorts of trips. It was about what she provided, not her presence. OP's reaction was fairly petty, but I can't blame her for being miffed at her friends, demanding the one thing she said she wouldn't do. Besides, it's getting fast food on a road trip. No dietary issues are mentioned. How much planning's really required here? Honestly, it's ridiculous. I, 25 female, used to live in a 2-bed flat with my friends. She moved out last month and got our friend Ava to take over her tenancy. I work long hours and am barely at home, and even then, it's mostly to sleep, and sometimes I go see my boyfriend. We share a bathroom, kitchen, and living space. I have to walk past the kitchen to get to my bedroom. Ava's boyfriend got her flowers Thursday, and she put the bouquet in a vase on the kitchen counter. I have hay fever. The flowers make me sneeze, and my eyes itch. When I saw Ava that same day, I asked her to politely put the flowers in her room, as I had allergies. She said she was on her way out for a run and would do so by the time she got back. I went into the kitchen the Friday morning and saw the flowers were still there. I tried knocking on her door, and when she didn't answer, left her a text reminding her to move the flowers. After work on Friday, I went to my boyfriend's and stayed over for the weekend. We fought, and I left early Sunday morning instead of staying the whole weekend. I was in a bad mood when I got home, and I was even more irritated when I saw the flowers still on the counter. I checked my messages and saw Ava had read my message but not responded, and I knew she was in the flat over the weekend as dishes were in the sink. I binned her flowers and went to my room. Ava saw me come in today after work and called me the idiot for binning her flowers and wants me to reimburse her for the bouquet. She told our friend, ex-flatmate, who agreed with her. I feel justified as I was annoyed, and I had asked her twice, and it's my kitchen too. Edit. The flat is really small. Her bedroom door is next to the bathroom, so I'd still have a reaction to the flowers. We don't keep our rooms unlocked and don't go into each other's rooms. Not the idiot. She was literally causing an allergy attack and obviously didn't care enough about the flowers to move them in a reasonable time frame. You gave her plenty of time to move the flowers. It's a communal space that you should be able to enjoy without an allergic reaction. I feel justified because I was annoyed. Makes it everyone's the idiot. OP even stated that she knew the roommate was home. Why not just get their attention and say something like, "Come bring these flowers up to your room, or I'm tossing them by dinner time," or something like that. Honey, you acted immaturely. It's not yours to throw away. To keep the peace, I'd suggest getting her some chocolate or something she likes that you aren't allergic to. Oh, come on. You are the idiot. You were mad you got into a fight with your boyfriend, and the flowers being there was just an outlet because they were from her boyfriend. That's why you didn't confront her and get her to move them, because that wouldn't have caused problems for her. You wanted to start crap the moment you saw those flowers were still there. For my father-in-law's 58th birthday this year, my mother-in-law, 57, planned a week-long trip with their 4 children and their respective partners. They rented out a nice house near the beach, and the cost of the Airbnb was split equally between the attending couples. My husband, 31, and I, 29 male, drove down there this week, and when we arrived in our pre-assigned room, we were surprised to find 2 single beds. At first we shrugged it off and figured we could simply push them against each other, but we quickly found out that the headboards of the beds were drilled into the wall. The headboards were attached to both the wall and the bed frame. I assume it's to prevent renters from moving the beds and possibly damaging the floors, etc. I asked my mother-in-law why she had chosen a house that didn't have enough double beds to hold all the couples that were invited, and she told me to stop making a fuss because it wasn't that big of a deal. I then asked why she hadn't mentioned it beforehand, and she rolled her eyes at me, saying that I was overdramatic, a walking stereotype, and that not clinging to her son for a little while might be for the best. Considering she had made some borderline homophobic comments in the past, she claims they're jokes. I was quite uncomfortable. Based on her remarks, I felt like she had given the room with the single beds to the only gay couple on purpose. I said that if it wasn't that big of a deal, surely she and her husband would be happy to switch rooms with us. But she once again told me that I should quit making a fuss and walked away from the conversation. Afterward, my husband tried talking to his mother, but he wasn't any more successful than I had been. At this point, I was reaching my breaking point. So I asked my husband if he'd like to spend our vacation at a hotel, as we had both taken the week off work anyway. He agreed, and we booked a room at a hotel a few towns away. My mother-in-law has accused us of ruining her husband's birthday and dividing the family because 2 of my husband's siblings support our decision. My in-laws and the last sibling have been texting me, calling me an idiot for turning my husband against his family and egoistically manipulating the vacation. Not clinging to her son? They're literally married, ma'am. Not the idiot. This woman is hostile towards you. A kind, sensitive person would have made sure that they didn't give the gay couple the room with 2 single beds, precisely because they wouldn't want it to seem intentional. You felt disrespected because she disrespected you. You don't have to confront her, but you are right to move. Anyone claiming that she ruined the vacation is conflict-averse and cowardly. She committed the offense. You established a boundary. Establishing a reasonable boundary is not being dramatic or manipulative, but people without the guts to stand up to abuse will always act as if the person who does is the problem, not the abuser. Yeah, time to start correcting her every time they speak. My son. You mean my husband. If you're a grown adult with your own money, then there's no reason you shouldn't be able to be as comfortable as you can be on vacation. Mother-in-law ruined the vacation, so if she's salty about you leaving, she has no one to blame but herself. Hope you didn't pay a dime towards their Airbnb. Everyone's the idiot here. It seems like she intentionally did it, especially since she never mentioned it before the vacation and completely dismissed you when you asked about it. But you could have put the mattress on the floor together. If you were more mature, you could have just let it go. Why should they sleep on mattresses on the floor? Why should they have to eat a crap sandwich if they have the means to get a normal sandwich? Why should they have to accept unfair circumstances if they can put themselves in a fair circumstance? All those do in this situation is appease a bigot. The issue here is not the 2 single beds, but mother-in-law's disrespect and refusal to acknowledge OP's and his partner's relationship. The girls' night out in question is an outing we usually hold once a month or so, where we go out without children and partners, just us girls doing girl things. We are a group of 7 friends, 5 of which are mothers. My friend, Mary, 27 female, was happy with the concept of a girls' night out when we decided what to do, but for the last 3 months, she's been bringing her toddler along, even though all the other moms always make sure to have someone to take care of the child for the night. Obviously, having a preschooler with us means having way less freedom. We can't go drinking or dancing because no one lets us in with a minor. He gets tired easily, complains a lot, and runs off whenever he feels like it. Essentially, what started as a night to unwind became unpaid babysitting for 3 months in a row. Needless to say, we're all pretty annoyed at this, especially the other moms who want to relax a little. We don't understand why she can't leave her son with her partner or ask her mother to watch him like she does when they want to go out on a date. Since we've been organizing this month's GNO, we're going to a salon, then to the movies to watch Barbie and eat pizza on the beach, if we have time. We also decided to tell Mary once and for all not to take her son along. I was tasked with telling her, and she didn't take it well. She thinks this is something I came up with alone, and that I'm just being an idiot because I'm not a mom and don't understand how painful it is for them to leave their children alone. But she has no problem doing it when it's date time. I'm just wondering if we're exaggerating. Are we being idiots? It's girls' night out. Tell her she can plan a night with kids, but this isn't that. Well, especially since it's only once a month, and everyone agrees no kids, no partners, no, you're not the idiot. If she can't make it this 1 month because she has her child, then that's okay. But she shouldn't try and change the dynamic by bringing the kid, especially when everyone already agreed not to, LMAO. However, I do think your friend group is suspect for making you the one to deliver the news. Your friend should not drag a preschooler out at night when they should be sticking to a sleep structure, so she is at fault. However, if your friend group wants her there and her partner's unreliable, why can't they help find a babysitter? You're really in a no-win situation. It doesn't matter why she doesn't get a babysitter. That's on her. She's not the only mom in the group, so she could have asked if she could share a babysitter at any time. The best solution is to stop inviting Mary to these girls' nights out and then plan another outing that allows for the children in the group to come. That way she can still be a part of the friend group and not be isolated.